We are living in a digital age. Our phones and computers have become essential for expressing our creativity. There is something special about tangible tools that we can physically hold and connect with. They awaken our senses and ignite inspiration within us. These physical tools can outlast technology and stand the test of time. A few weeks ago, I was searching for a computer cable. In one of my storage rooms, I found a shoebox. In that box, I found a long-forgotten item. My grandfather's Leica camera. So this is his camera. It's in this beautiful leather case. It basically works like a half case, like a modern half case for a Leica camera. You can unscrew this here. Then we can take out the camera. Of course, I went immediately to the Leica store in Berlin and asked them if this is of high value. And they told me that the camera is not a rare camera. It's not an M camera, they call it the ERNST WETZLAR DRP. And DRP, actually, I was researching that, is standing for Deutsches Reichspatent. This means patent of the German Reich. The value of that camera today, if I would sell it, is about 400 to 800 euros or dollars. Of course, I have a family emotional value because it's the camera of my grandfather. And I went to the Leica store. They checked the serial number. The serial number is 86901. And it turns out this camera is from 1932. So this camera is 91 years old. And it's the camera of my grandfather. So my grandfather was born in 1914. So in 1932, he was like 18 years old. That must have been his first camera, and he was a passionate photographer. And I also have an 8mm film camera from him, but I never used that. But this, I was wondering, maybe it works, because I somehow have totally forgotten about that. And my personal Leica journey started about 3 years ago, and somehow I just forgotten about that camera. You can see here the rangefinder windows. One is for the frame lines and one is for the focus. I had no idea how those work when I first got the camera years ago, decades ago. So I wondered if it is still working, and they told me it sounds good. I could put a film in there and I could try to shoot it. Then the guy at the Leica store told me that from 1931, if I remember correctly, you can detach the lenses. And I was like, no, don't. It looks like a compact camera, leave it alone. And he was like, no. And he started to screw on the lens, and it actually, you can just screw it off. So I have a lens from 1932. I have probably the lens. All our family pictures are taken with. All pictures of my mom when she was a kid, of my aunt when she was a kid, of my grandparents. Not my grandfather when he's in the picture. I don't know who made the pictures when he's in the picture, but I know that he was a passionate photographer. I have a lot of his photos. I just digitized them like 2 years ago, and probably, I think, most of them, or maybe all of them, have been shot with this camera and this lens. And then at the Leica store, the guy asked me if I'm interested in putting this lens on my M camera, because this is possible with an adapter. And of course, I wanted to do that. So this is the adapter. It's just a ring. Then I have here my M10 Monochrome, and I put this lens now on. I have to be a little bit careful because it's pushed in. Then I have here a red dot. And then I can just click it on. It's amazing, right? And then I have to pull this out and turn it. And now it's fixed. And now I have a 50mm f2 lens from 1932 on my digital Leica M Monochrome. And the first picture I took, I can really tell you it was weird, because I took a picture in that store and I felt like I have the eyes of my grandfather, who actually died in 1979. So I barely knew him. Of course, I know a lot of stories, and people tell me that I have a lot of similarities to him. And be able to shoot a picture with my camera from a few years ago, with a lens that is 91 years old, that belonged to him, I have no words for that. And I mean, I love digital and I love all the exciting new gadgets we get. And I'm happy that I can have all on my computer, and I love digital photography. But the haptic thing, that thing that survives, that can be passed on to your children, your grandchildren, and as a grandchild to use it, I have no words for that. So I decided, of course, that I want to talk about that and I want to make a video about that lens. I started to compare it to my 50 Summilux I have, which is, I don't know, 12 years old, which is interesting. Of course, it has a completely different look, because this lens, if you take the picture, and especially if you take a picture with the M10 Monochrom camera, it looks like an old picture. And because it has like a soft, like a promised filter on the lens. And they told me, I asked them if they can clean the lens, and they told me it's not a good idea because those glass elements are glued onto each other, and that light, the haze effect you get, is because of that old glue. And I was then trying to reproduce that look with a photo I shot with my newer lens, and it's not possible. It's absolutely not possible. And again, there's something coming back to me, which is very exciting, that with all the digital tools we have today to like manipulate our pictures, our optics, with all the AI stuff that is now around, which is fantastic, you cannot reproduce a look that you can do in camera. This is something that has to do with crafting and with like using your hands. I cannot tell it differently. And it's, you see my excitement. I think it's absolutely fantastic. If you ever have the chance to use a vintage lens, and maybe even a lens you have an emotional relationship to, it's a whole new experience to take a picture. So what I decided to do now, I was running around with that. I was in Las Vegas, I was in Los Angeles, I was in Berlin, I was on vacation, I was in Switzerland. I had that lens with me all the time, and I just decided to share pictures. So if you're interested in that look, and if you're interested in what that kind of lens can provide for you, just now watch the next few minutes. It's only going to be pictures. I decided not to analyze them or something, because I think pictures in the end speak for themselves. I'm very happy to share that with you, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed to take those pictures. Thank you for watching until this point. This was my special episode about a 90-year-old lens. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Stay curious.